Hi, I'm Glo, and welcome to Glo's Kindred Kitchen. Today I wanted to share a very special recipe with you that I saw on YouTube, and it's from Viola's channel called Viola's Baked and Cooked Delights. She has a wonderful channel, and she had just recently shared a recipe for a cake that's made with fresh Mandarin oranges, and then the frosting is made with real whipped cream. Yes, there are many recipes out there for a Mandarin orange cake, but most of them that I have seen in the past are with Cool Whip. And I just don't feel like Cool Whip justifies a fresh Mandarin orange cake. Cool Whip definitely has its place, but not with a cake like this. So I wanted to make this, and I got to tell you, it's absolutely delicious. So here it is. It has the cake with the fresh Mandarin oranges, and then the real whipped cream frosting has crushed pineapple that's folded into it. And this is just so good. It's very special. So I'm going to take a bite of it. As you can tell, I've already tasted a few bites of this, and it's really good. This is so good. You can taste those fresh Mandarin oranges in this, and that whipped cream frosting. It's not icky sweet. It's just perfect with this. And then that crushed pineapple that's folded into it. It's really good. Viola, I need to thank you for sharing this with everybody. This is absolutely delicious. And I'll put a link at the bottom of our video for Viola's channel, and you can check out so many of her other recipes. They're absolutely delicious. And if you would like to learn how to make this like I just did, please join me over at my counter, and I will be more than happy to share with you how to make this step by step. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, please consider to do so. Give me a like, a thumbs up, and share with your family and friends. I'll see you over at the counter. Well, now we're going to put this Mandarin orange cake together, and I can't wait to try this. This recipe from Viola, I am sure, is delicious. Everything I've tried of hers has been very good. So what it calls for is 1 cup of butter. And so I have a cup or 2 sticks of butter in my mixer here. And it's at room temperature. And once I get this blended, I'm going to be adding 1.5 cups of granulated sugar to it and get that combined real well. It also calls for 2 cups of cake flour. And I didn't have cake flour on hand. So guess what I did? You can make your own cake flour at home. And what I did is I measured out let me back up. When you're making cake flour, for each cup of cake flour, you remove 2 tablespoons, which is 1/8 of a cup. And you substitute in place of that the same amount, which would be 1/8 a cup or 2 tablespoons of cornstarch to it. And so since I have 2 cups here of cake flour, what I have here is 1 3/4 cup of all-purpose flour, and then I have 1/4 cup of cornstarch. And then I sifted it with my sifter here 5 times. So that's what I have here. But now when you sift, what's going to happen is it requires less flour. So here is what I have left after measuring out for 2 cups of the sifted flour. I sifted it 5 times. So this is about 1/3 of a cup here, because this is 3/4 of a cup measuring cup. So it's important to follow your directions and do it the way it's supposed to be. So if I don't have a video up on our channel about how to make your own cake flour, we'll do one real quick and have that for everybody, because it's a real time saver for you instead of having to go get some cake flour that you're probably not going to use that often. So the Viola's recipe calls for 8 egg yolks. Price of eggs today is crazy. And also just finding them is crazy. We went to the grocery store today, and guess what? Almost all the eggs were gone. So what I decided to do is I do know that I can use 4 egg yolks, which I have here. And instead of using those egg whites for something else, I whip them up. So I'm going to be folding these egg whites in at the end. But by doing that, it's going to make the cake a little lighter and flavorful, just like it would with the 8 egg yolks. It won't be as yellow of a color, but it'll work.
It's okay as long as it's lighter.
Yep. So just knowing all those little tricks will really help you in the kitchen. And trust me, I didn't know those when I first started cooking. So the star of the show, though, is Mandarin Oranges. Here is one right here.
Those are good.
Yep. Now Viola, she's very fortunate, has a beautiful Mandarin orange tree in her yard. I don't have that. Where I live, citrus does not grow in the mountains. But I am able to buy them at the grocery store. So her recipe calls for 1 1/3 cups of Mandarin oranges, which I have here. And don't throw your peels out, because I'm going to show you when I decorate this what I did with zesting those. But I'm going to process this in my food processor, just like Viola did. So I'm going to go ahead and start this up with my mixer and get this butter blended. And then I'm going to be adding the sugar. And I'll be back in just a little bit. Oh, and in the meantime, I'm going to process these oranges, and I'll show you what they look like after I get it done. So I'll be back in a few minutes. Well, while this was mixing up, which is the 1 cup of butter and the 1 1/2 cups of granulated sugar. And Richard, will you please show in there what that looks like?
I see.
You will know when your sugar has gotten into your butter well and has creamed well when you don't feel the grittiness of the sugar in the butter. That's how I tell. And then I processed my oranges. I have 1 1/3 cups of Mandarin oranges, and I got 1 cup. And it's just under a cup. So I would say a shy cup, but pretty much a cup of the Mandarin oranges with the juice in the end.
Okay.
So then I whipped up, slightly beat my egg yolks. So the next step here is I'm going to turn on my mixer, and I'm going to slowly start adding my egg yolks. And I'm just going to get that incorporated. So I'll be back after I get all the egg yolks in, and then we're going to be putting the Mandarin oranges with their juice in as well.
Sounds good, Miss
Okay.
Vaughn.
So look down in here, and you can see how the colors change because I put those egg yolks in there.
Right.
So now I'm going to turn my mixer right back on. It's like on the second speed.
Right.
And I'm going to slowly add the Mandarin oranges that I did in my food processor. You can also do that by hand, by squeezing them or chopping them. And we're going to get this all mixed up. And after that, I'll be back, and we're going to go on to the next step.
Sounds good again.
All right, well, look down in here, and you can see how I've got the Mandarin oranges with their juice in there.
Yep.
And then it calls for 3/4 of a cup of milk, whole milk. So I have that here, and it's at room temperature. And here is my cake flour. And to that, I also have 2 tablespoons of baking powder and a shy 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And then also you're to add in 1 1/2 teaspoons of vanilla. And I'm also going to add a little bit of orange extract. And the reason I'm doing that is Viola, when she used her Mandarin oranges off her tree, those are tree ripened mandarins. And they, I'm sure, have a lot more flavor than my mandarins. Although I must say my mandarins are good, but they are not going to be as good as a tree ripened. If you've never had a tree ripened orange or mandarin, you will know it instantly when you eat it.
By the way, is that real vanilla?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Good question. So anyway, when I add the flour mixture with the baking powder and salt, I'm going to alternate it with the whole milk.
Okay.
And then I'll also, well, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and just add the vanilla and the orange extract right here into the milk. That's about a half. And then I'll put some of this orange extract in too. There we go. That's about a half of a teaspoon. That way we won't forget anything. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and turn this on. And I'm just going to slowly add this. And then I'm going to add just a little bit of the milk.
Okay.
And I'll continue to do that until we get that all combined. And then after that, we're going to fold in the egg whites. I'll be right back. All right. So I took it off of my mixer and look at this, you guys. That looks delicious.
Looking good. Yes,
smells really good.
Smells orangey in here.
So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of my egg whites here that I beat up a little at a time. And you just fold it in lightly.
Slowly and lightly.
The first folding of egg whites in here, you won't be as thick until, you know, the next ones go in. So I'm going to continue with this and I'll be back and then we'll be putting it in the pan so we can put it in the oven. Well, I'm putting in the last of the egg whites that I whipped up. You want them till they're just barely blended. Doesn't that look good, you guys? It's such a pretty color.
Smells good too.
So what I did is I have my oven preheating to 350 degrees. And I have a heart-shaped pan here. And the reason I'm using the heart-shaped pan is because Valentine's Day. And so you need to butter and flour or grease your pan. What I'm using is called cake release. For myself personally, I found it works really good. I mix this up in equal parts and I keep it in my refrigerator. It's an equal part of like Crisco or shortening, equal part of oil, just, you know, like vegetable oil, and then also an equal part of flour. And that's all there is to it. And you just mix it up. And then what I did
That's good.
is I'll show you I keep it in a jar just like this. And on the lid I have written on it cake release. And I just spread that around my pan. I find it works really good too on bundt pans. You know how they stick your cakes? But it won't do that in this. I'm just finishing buttering just in case when I was messing around there, I messed it up. So, it's nothing worse than you go to all the work to make something that's going to look nice and then it won't come out of the pan.
Or half comes out.
Yeah. Very disappointing. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and just pour this in this pan. Doesn't that look beautiful?
Looking good.
Yeah. I'm trying to get it so you guys can see too. Can you see, Richard?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to have to turn it to make sure I get it all out.
No problemo.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put this in my oven. Viola's recipe said it takes, where did I put that recipe? Oh, here it is. 25 to 28 minutes. Given the fact that my pan is bigger, I think it'll take a little longer. I'm guessing 35 minutes, maybe 37. So anyway, I'll be back at that time and we're going to see what this looks like together.
Okay.
Well, I just took it out of the oven and it took 40 minutes. But it's beautiful and it smells really good.
Very good. Very good.
I'm just going to put it in here so you guys can see it came out clean.
Right.
So now this is going to need to totally cool. And in the meantime, we're going to make the whipped cream frosting to go with it. And I got to tell you, this whipped cream frosting has pineapple, crushed pineapple in it. And
Yep, it's very good.
So anyway, we'll be back. Well, our cake is completely cooled. And there was a little bit too much in the pan, so I made 2 little ramekins of the cake as well. But it's completely cooled off and it smells really good. But now it's time to make the whipped cream frosting. And this frosting, the recipe is delicious. And so the first thing I'm going to do is I have 2 cups of very cold whipping cream, heavy whipping cream. And I'm going to put that in my mixer here. And I am going to turn this on. And let me put this on here too. The reason I do this is because my mixer, if I don't use this, it tends to splatter, and I don't want this to splatter everywhere.
Really?
So I'm going to start it on low and just start having it continue to go up. We're going to go all the way up to high. I'm going to whip this until it almost as totally has the peaks in it, and we're going to be adding a half a cup of confectionery sugar to it at that point, which is powdered sugar. So I'll be back in just a few minutes. So this has only been whipping for like a minute and a half. But I need to share with you, I didn't in the beginning, I've had my bowl and my beater in my freezer for about an hour. So it's very, very cold. And because of that, look down in there how that's whipped up already.
Whipped good.
So I'm going to go ahead and turn this back on, and I'm going to add the half a cup of powdered sugar to this. Well done. So I'll be back in about a minute, and then we're going to be folding in the crushed pineapple along with another secret ingredient. Okay, so my secret ingredient is, in Viola's recipe, she said you can use the instant vanilla pudding, which I don't have on hand. Or you can just leave it like it is. But there's other ways also to make it so that your whipped cream frosting will not weep. And that was one of the reasons why they put instant vanilla pudding in it. So what I have here is just plain old gelatin, unflavored. I put 1.5 teaspoons into about between 2 and 3 tablespoons of the crushed pineapple juice. And I came up with this. What this is going to do is it's going to stabilize this whipped cream so it does not weep. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in.
Weep no more.
And it will not change the flavor of your whipped cream. And it also will prevent it from weeping. So I'm just going to turn it on. And let that mix up for about a minute. And then we'll be back to put in the pineapple. And also we're going to be putting in a little vanilla flavoring. Okay, so that got whipped up in here. And now I'm going to be adding some vanilla flavoring. I have a half a teaspoon here. But I'm going to be putting in another half teaspoon. There, that's plenty. So 1 teaspoon total. The reason I had a half a teaspoon is that's what I had that was clean that I could get to. So I'm going to turn this on just to combine it. Okay, that should be plenty. So I'm going to lower my beaters. I'm going to unplug it. And then we're going to take the beater off. Look how nice that is. I don't know if you can see in there. I'm going to remove that beater.
Looks good.
Just going to set it right over here. Get it out of the way. So now I'm going to take my bowl off of my mixer. Put it right here. And I have the can, it's a 16-ounce can of the crushed pineapple. So I'm going to go ahead and fold that into this whipped cream. And this is well drained. And I use the some of the juice to do the gelatin with. And then the remainder I'll just save and use it for something else. But look at that.
Looking good.
Mm-hmm. This is a delicious frosting. When it's not icky sweet, it's just perfect. Look how pretty that is.
So pretty, so pretty.
That's all there is to this. The key to doing a whipped cream is to make sure you've got a really cold bowl and a whisk. So I'm going to go ahead and just start frosting this. Now Viola, when she did hers, she had 2 layers, but since I'm doing the heart-shaped pan and it was larger than the 2 round pans, that's why I just have this. So I'll have extra, but I do have those 2 small ramekins also that I'll need to frost too. And if there's any left, oh, that's fine with us, isn't it, Richard?
Yep.
This frosting is just so good. So I'm going to continue to frost this, and I'll be back, and I'm going to show you how I decorate it.
Sounds good.
Okay, I've got the whipped cream frosting all over it and along the sides. So the next step that I'm going to do, I'm just going to kind of center this. I'm using this as a pattern. I'm just going to kind of press it down a little. Then what I did is with some of the rind from the peel from the Mandarin oranges, I zested it with my zester. And here it is. So I'm just going to sprinkle that around. And the reason I'm using this as a pattern, so it'll be like the shape of a heart around it. So I'm going to continue to put this around, and then I'll be back and I'll show you the next step. Okay, so now we got the
pattern.
The Mandarin orange peel around it that we zested. So now I'm going to put the heart. I had a cookie cutter heart. So I'm going to just put that right here. Is that about centered, Richard? Because I'm looking at it upside down.
Yeah, it's pretty close.
Okay. So I'm going to just press that down so I have a pattern. I'm going to pull it right out. Then what I did, so I chopped up with one of my food choppers, a hand food chopper, some maraschino cherries. And I'm just going to put that right in the center of this for Valentine's Day. But you could decorate your cake any way you wanted, depending on, you know, what holiday it may be, or, you know, if you're just making it to make it, you know, which I certainly would. This is just a delicious recipe. But, you know, your Mandarin oranges are only available usually in the winter time. I think it's like October through March, if I'm not mistaken. Is that like a heart shape?
It's getting there.
I'm not a professional cake decorator by any means. I like being creative, but I'm not professional. How does that look? I can tell he doesn't like it.
There's a movie title I think Jack Nicholson did with Helen Hunt. I think it was
Oh
called
my
As Good as
gosh.
It Gets.
Oh. Well, at least he's being
You
honest.
need to take a cake decorating class.
I'm
maybe.
sorry.
It's okay. As long as it tastes good, that's what I care about.
Upside down, it looks like a heart to me, but I'm not looking at it right side up.
Maybe if I get up a little higher. And I'll better leave it alone.
Okay. So anyway, we'll be back, and I'm going to do a taste test of this for all of us.
Sounds
Looking forward
good.
to it.